Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching this Ag Forecast video for South America, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. We're going to start with some satellite imagery today, and as I kind of play this throughout the day here on the 23rd, from sunrise to sunset, a couple of important things to see here. First, some astronomy. See this area over here? That's called sun glint, so that is basically telling me where the sun's rays are direct, which is right now on the Tropic of Capricorn, since we just hit the solstice a couple days ago. But the bigger story I'd like to cover here is the fact that we're seeing just a tremendous amount of rain from some very juicy thunderstorms that are over here in parts of Brazil's eastern growing areas, and then very steady and scattered normal monsoonal rains for Brazil's north. But you can already see the effect of the higher pressure farther to the south. And I just want to make a point here. We have seen as of late better thunderstorm action in through this area, including Parana and Mato Grosso do Sul, but it's been a lot of isolated storms that you see here. And the reason why I bring all of this up is because a lot of what we've been discussing now for the past about 4 to 5 weeks has been that we saw that the end of this month and the beginning of the next, we're going to continue to favor drier conditions. And the latest model run here from the European model, just looking out 10 days from now, okay, this continues to show that this area is going to have much above average precipitation, which means I think we're going to hear more stories about flooding in this region. More normal precipitation for Mato Grosso, which is here. But then when you get into Mato Grosso do Sul, to Sao Paulo, getting down into Parana, Rio Grande do Sul, into Argentina, we really see a pretty strong signal here of drier than average conditions. Now, a lot of times when I keep going over the South American weather, I have to just keep coming back to remembering where they do grow the crops down there, at least the ones that I'm specifically concerned about right now, which are going to be soybeans and corn. We do see that Mato Grosso, the biggest producing state here, is about a quarter, maybe even up to 30% of total soybean production. Then we go east toward where Bahia, Tocantins, and Goiás come together, and then it's those states we just discussed which are going to be dry, from Mato Grosso do Sul to Parana, and then down to Rio Grande do Sul. Now, just looking at this and kind of adding it up, you notice we're talking about 40% of the Brazilian crop here that's in that drier area for soybeans. Now, on the corn side of it, just remember that most of the corn, about 75%, is a safrinha crop. And that's just stuff I've learned from good friends like Arlen Suderman and others who just kind of keep me clued in on this. And a lot of that safrinha crop, or second crop, is here in the north. All right. Now, thinking about all of that, the last 30 days, I showed you this on Monday, has been very dry in places down here. Now, why it looks so blotchy up here as you get up into Brazil's eastern and northern growing areas toward the Amazon is that this is a rain gauge product, and there's just not a lot of rain gauges there. But I want to take you to an important river here. It's the Parana River. It starts here, goes between Mato Grosso do Sul, Sao Paulo, then Parana, then cuts around Paraguay and comes right into this part of Argentina before draining right here. That's a big river basin in very productive land, and you can see that all around it we've been quite dry for the last 30 days. And I want to show you what that river's doing. So thankfully, someone sent me this great website that shows me what the river levels are. And so let's go to the Parana River, click on that. And what you see here is it's kind of a complicated graphic, but it looks at the river gauge. And what I want you to see is this would be the lower bound of normal right there. And the river gauge has been doing this. So you can see how low that river is. You can scroll through this page and see all sorts of different river gauges on the Parana River. And at the top, you can see you can go to other river basins as well. But we talked about that, maybe it was last Thursday, and I'm so thankful that I was able to get a good website to see what that looks like. Now, when we ask those questions as to why this region is showing up drier, most of the connections that I see are happening with the weakening La Nina and the MJO response. Because as we look out over the next 5 to 10 days, there's a lot of subsidence in the Indian Ocean and better rising motion here. And that goes from basically MJO phase 5 over to phase 7. And what's interesting about the way that this works, the way that the tropical atmosphere breathes, is there's a reflection of this here. And if you notice, there's a lot of rising motion there. And that's because there's going to be a front stalled here. But air that rises has to exhaust outward. So it leaves that way and it leaves this way. And on either side of that rising motion, you get subsidence. And that subsidence is right into this area. There's another part to this that has to do with our La Nina. And I mentioned that the La Nina is reaching a peak, or has peaked. The trade winds out here have already begun to fade. And we've got now strong easterly winds in the Indian Ocean. We haven't had that in about 90 days. But this region over here is the stronghold of this La Nina, and it continues to show colder than average conditions. Now, why we watch this so carefully is because of its relationship with a lot of different things. So, for example, When we look at Nino region 1+2, that's the area right off of South America, we can see where we get our best rising and sinking motion. Now, what I'm trying to illustrate here is that in the red colors, that's where you tend to have your strongest rising motion, which again sits, right in through here. And the subsidence happens on the southern side of it. There's another part to this. We can just look at the relationship between the ocean temperatures there and precipitation. And these warmer colors tell us that when Nino region 1+2 is cold, we tend to get more subsidence, high pressure forming weaker fronts, and as a result, drier conditions in this area from December to January. All of this is playing into the hands of the very strong southern annular mode or Antarctic oscillation, and it's all coming together just to give us this forecast again. So let's shrink that up so we can see it once more. Now, when I think about this, my big questions as we wrap this video up is how long does it hang on? And if we look out there into week 2, well, not only are the temperatures going to be quite warm underneath the higher pressure and drier conditions, and remember, we're now into summer here, so getting temperatures 5-6 Celsius above average is very warm, increasing the evaporation rates, but it's going to hang around a little bit. This is now looking out into all the way to January 6th. We continue to see the models favoring the above average precipitation north and favoring drier conditions farther to the south. But I told you that La Nina is beginning to fade, and I want to discuss that here as we wrap this up, because the new long-range European data shows this. Right now, through most of the next 2 to 3, maybe even not 4 weeks, this is the dry area we're going to watch. But this is a 1-month sliding window, so let me just take you through the end of January. Ready? This is now looking only at the month of January. And what you saw was kind of a not so strong of anomaly here, but still quite dry in Argentina. And the models continue to back that off as we let this 1-month sliding window get into February. Now, it never goes over wet here. But if we see that La Nina fading, I don't see that it could stay that dry all the way into February. I think we're going to get some wetter weather in this region in January. Now, what does that do to the crop? How much damage is already done? I don't know. That's not where my expertise lies. But I can see a pretty consistent story here for you when I examine what's going on with La Nina and the MJO and their relationship and where that wetter weather is going to be. Now, I'm going to come back here and let's just park this at the end of January. So that's the month of January. The crop here is way ahead of normal pace, and it's being harvested in some places right now and gets harvested into January. This wetter than average weather, though, is going to slow some things down, especially in the east. And so that could drag out the harvest and therefore the planting of the safrinha crop a little bit. This is nothing like we saw a year ago, though, where everything was delayed because of how late the first crop of beans went in. So I'll watch this. This is going to be my last video for South America until we get to January 3rd. I'm going to take next week off. So I hope that this was informative and kind of gets us out there looking longer term, but I'll wrap it up here. Appreciate your attention. Thank you.